Greetings, I'm TJ Burns, and this is week 6, the last week of our free e course, Your Story Matters in Memoir Writing. If you would like to know more about my book, right here, Writing Wild Crafting the Pagan Memoir, or me, or the writing course, please visit my website at writertjburns.com. So, yes, it's week 6, and this week, for our final week, we're going to talk about revision. Revision. It's been said that 99% of writing is revising, and I really believe that that's true. You know, I used to be one of those writers who thought that I was never going to be really, really good at it because the words did not flow just perfectly from my pen, the first thing. And I think a lot of creative people are like that, that if our songs aren't beautiful the first time, or our drawings aren't perfect the first time, we think, oh, don't really have that much talent. But that's not true. Um, it takes practice. It really takes practice, just like with any new skill. And so, on that note, do you remember my drumming lesson from week 3? I think I had just started, and I could, just barely kind of do the little basic drumming. Well, I have been practicing, and I've been watching my videos, and even though I'm still a long way from perfection, I'm learning how to keep rhythm and add my own little spin in it, and having more and more fun and getting more and more confidence. Remember, it's quite a change from this. Now I can put a little bit of pizzazz in it, and I can even talk at the same time, which is quite an accomplishment because it's a lot like, talking and chewing gum at the same time. So you have to keep at it. Keep practicing, practicing, practicing. Writing is a learned skill. And no matter what your goals are for your memoir, if you are hoping to publish it with a big publisher or self-publish it, or if you are going to be satisfied with, just having some loose leaf copies to share with your family and friends, I promise you, you can write a manuscript to be proud of if you will pay special attention to good revision and keep at it. So this is the one place on the topic of revision where I'm going to pitch my book to you. I have a section in my book on revision that's based on a little method that I came up with for myself that includes the 4 basic elements. And I've had a lot of really nice feedback from writers from all genres about that section, saying that it was really helpful to them and a new way to approach improving their manuscript. And it's not about your spirituality, so it doesn't really matter if we share the same spiritual walk. It's just about a new technique to get in there and make your writing better. So if you want to know more about that, then you have to buy the book. But there's still a lot to discuss regardless. Um, One of the first mistakes that I think people make, and I've known writers like this, I've been a writer like this, and I think it's especially true of new writers who we're still trying to find our way, is that we get swallowed up with revision. That we spin our wheels redoing the first chapter over and over and over, trying to make it perfect, thinking that if somehow we just get this first section nailed down, then everything else is going to build off of that. And that's just not true. There is so many times by the time you get to the end of your first draft of something, you have to cut that. You have to cut that first chapter, or you decide to move that first chapter to the middle, or something changes, and you will have wasted so much precious time crafting and polishing and perfecting that first part. And then when you get all down to it, that first part might not even be included in the final version. So don't spin your wheels. Keep writing from beginning to end as well as you can, and don't worry about changing things until you have your full story arc written out. Also, from just a purely emotional perspective, sometimes it's very hard to cut out our own words. We love our words. We love our stories. We've thought hard about them and what we want to include, and it's very difficult to see with unbiased eyes. Oh, that needs to go. Well, it's even more difficult to chop one of our darlings when we have spent so much time polishing it. So just don't polish until you are complete, because otherwise you may never finish. You will develop your own system for revising as you do it more. Some writers like to print out everything on paper and make post-its or use a red pen to mark all the places where they want changes. Others do spreadsheets and keep it all technical. Um, I'm a more of a tactile person. I like to print my stuff out and be able to see it, and even rip pages in half and tape them together with other pages. So I like to really kind of get in there and make an art project out of it myself. But you'll figure out your own way as you go. The important thing is not how you do it; it's doing it, number one, and then the things that you address. The first thing I'd like to talk about is a big mistake of new writers, and that is not including any sense of time in your memoir. When is this all happening? What era are we in? And you can do that by including little details about what somebody is wearing, or maybe a little bit of slang or lingo from that era, or talk about the political climate or the some other current events. Now, sometimes it is necessary for clarity's sake to simply say it was 1968 and so and so and so. But don't only say it was 1968. Just like, that old saying tells us, show don't tell. So show us the era that's happening through the other details in the story. And then the second thing that's often missing from writing from newer writers is a setting, a sense of place. Where is your story happening at? And so it's the same, you want to use the same techniques as I just talked about for the time. Include those details in the description of the neighborhood, or, letting us know how far does it take to get to the grocery store. So as well as the big thing of, I grew up in Los Angeles, we want to know about your neighborhood in Los Angeles. We want to know about the setting that informed you as a child, because it makes a lot of difference. Did you grow up on the east side of LA, or did you grow up on the 90210 side of LA? Where the the small details is what makes a big difference to bringing your writing really to life for the writer. Next is really the most important that I saved for last, and that is you cannot underestimate the power of proofreading. Nothing will ruin your beautiful story like seeing that it's riddled with spelling errors and grammatical errors. Personally, as a reader, I enjoy reading self-published work a lot. But when things are spelled incorrectly, that's a real turnoff to me. I won't buy a book when I can see in the first first two sentences that there are spelling errors and mistakes. Have the pride to polish. Have the pride to proofread, and don't just depend on spell check or your own peepers, because you are doesn't matter how many times you go over it, there are going to be mistakes in there that you don't see. So hire a professional or ask a really a well-educated friend, somebody who's got expertise in English and writing and who is well-read. Ask them to look through it and look for mistakes. You might also try a editing software program, but again, you can't rely on that 100%. It's the same issue as with spell check. The technology doesn't always recognize the nuances of what we're saying and can miss things that are incorrect. So we have to have others read our work. We just have to if we want it to be good. So the two keys for successful revision, however you decide your method is, um, it takes repetition. You write your first draft, you revise. You get some feedback, you revise again. You get some more feedback, you revise again. It's not going to be great in one or two drafts. Professional writers sometimes write dozens of versions of their book before we see it as readers. And so rest assured that if you are uh, coming up with, okay, this is my 8th time through this book, well, good for you. You're being a good writer. I promise you that's what good writers are doing. And the second key that you need for really good, thorough revision is feedback, which I already just touched on. Um, of course, it makes sense to you. You lived it. So even if you failed to write the who's and where's and when's and how's and you left out 7 crucial details, when you read it, it makes perfect sense to you. It was your life. It's your memory. All that information is stored up in your head. But when somebody else read it, what they might see is a story that's missing 7 crucial details. And so you must have somebody else read your book. Always look for readers who are willing to be honest and kind. I appreciate thorough constructive criticism when I give my writing to my readers. I'm wanting honest feedback. I'm needing honest feedback, and they understand that. But I don't want somebody to make their criticism of my writing personal. It should never be personal. And unfortunately, there are people who take the opportunity to give feedback as an opportunity to criticize. So don't give your book to people like that, okay? Promise me. Don't put yourself through that. Um, Find people who are honest and kind at the same time, because you don't have to suffer that way. Um, there's kind of a school of thought in the writing world that tough love is the best love. Well, you can be tough and not hurt people's feelings at the same time. So you have to take what the feedback that is given to you and really mull it over. Don't get defensive. Don't say, oh, well, to heck with that. I don't believe that. Let it stew. Come back to it. Sometimes it's going to sting a little bit, but usually I find those stingy parts is when a reader really caught on something that I do need to change. So mull it over, let it mellow, come back to it. Make revisions based on that feedback, and then get some more feedback until you feel like it's done. And when is it done? Oh my goodness, that is the $100,000 question for most writers. When is it done? Well, it's done when you feel like I have done the best possible job with this manuscript that I can do right now, and I feel in my heart that it's complete. Could it be better? It probably could be better, but this is as good as I can make it right now. And so you'll know at some point you have to say, and revise, I've done enough revising, this is it, I'm finished. If it feels good, then you really are done. And I'm done. And we're done. And that's the end of Lecture 6 for the Your Story Matters memoir writing course. I hope you've gained a lot of knowledge, and I hope I've given you a lot of support and empowerment for writing your story, because it really is important and you really can do it. And don't forget to come by, if you haven't already, and join the Your Story Matters memoir group at Facebook. Even if you're not currently enrolled in the memoir e-course, you're welcome to do that. We have a lot of great discussions about memoir writing, and we're building a nice little community there. So take care, and until I see you again, keep writing wild.